Hello again. State capture whistleblower Athol Williams has dropped more bombshells. Recently, he met with UK Cabinet Minister Rees-Mogg. You remember Williams fled South Africa last year after giving damning testimony in the State Capture Commission on management consultancy Bain and Company. Well, this coming Saturday is going to be the National Appreciation or National Whistleblower Appreciation Day. So what we're going to try and do here on Today on ENC this week is just to build up to that and talk to some whistleblowers just like Mr. Williams. Good afternoon, Athol. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I see last week you were in London and you met with Lord Peter Hain, I saw on Twitter. What was that meeting about?
Well, Dan, I met with Lord Peter Hain, and Lord Peter Hain and I have been collaborating for a few months now on trying to get global attention and draw global attention to state capture in South Africa and the impunity of multinational companies for their involvement in state capture. Particularly this meeting last week was with myself and Lord Hain meeting with Cabinet Minister Rees-Mogg. And the appeal is for the UK government to issue a ban on Bain working for the UK government until such time that Bain does two things. One, that they make full disclosure of their involvement and their investigation on their involvement in the public sector in South Africa during the Zuma era. And secondly, that they make full amends. So this is not trying to destroy Bain's business or trying to cause undue harm, Dan. It's about saying we've got a company who was involved in causing profound damage in our country. They cannot continue with impunity because they are refusing to come clean. And so we're asking the UK government, as an act of solidarity with South Africa, to take this action, but also as a warning to the UK that this company, Bain, is operating in its public sector and so could cause similar damage.
So, so you are appealing for that. How likely is that to happen?
Dan, as far as I know, it's unprecedented. I think the odds are stacked against the appeal. But for me, what's encouraging is that at least Minister Rees-Mogg heard the case. He's reviewed documents. In fact, he sent me follow-up questions. And I've submitted those documents. So the UK government is at least considering this. It's a lot more, I can say, for what I'm hearing in the South African government. I've seen no South African politician stand up and condemn Bain and Company or condemn any of these companies who have been involved in state capture and attacking our democracy. And none of the government departments have blacklisted Bain. And so I really think it will be an embarrassment to South Africa if the UK did do it, and yet we are doing nothing at home.
So the campaign then around Bain going forward, would you find ways and means? I know you've left the country now, not because you chose to, but because you were forced to, as your life was in danger. Do you think it could be reignited, that discussion in South Africa, whilst you are noting and observing that nothing is being done?
Dan, I contact government officials constantly. I've been in contact with senior officials at National Treasury, for example, saying I'm available, I've got information that could help the case. There's no reaching out to me at all. I've written to the presidency. I've had no reply to any of my attempts to contact the presidency. It was wonderful just hearing the head of the NPA talk about the proactive steps they're taking to protect their investigators, even though those investigators have received no threats. Well, the NPA is doing nothing like that for whistleblowers, where we know whistleblowers face risk and face threat. So I'm in no hurry to put myself and my family in harm's way. I'm fully committed to doing what I can to stem this attack on our democracy by these companies like Bain involved in state capture. But until my country stands by me in some form and says, Athol, we'll support you and protect you, I unfortunately can't be back home.
So that's understandable. The risks are very high. As we build up to the weekend, this coming weekend, Saturday, the 30th of July, being a National Day of Whistleblower Appreciation Day, What would you want to share? What should we be, people who are ordinary citizens, be aware of? Because for you to have taken this decision to protect your life, obviously, and look after your family you had to leave was not an easy one, because you're a South African after all.
Oh, absolutely, Dan. I've not only been a South African, and proudly so, I've committed the last more than 10 years of my life to public service in South Africa. Privately funded public service, by the way. I've got no NGO or government organization supporting me. I personally have said, as a citizen, I want to be an active, engaged citizen, which means I must address issues of literacy if I'm concerned about it. I must do something about corruption if I'm concerned about it. And so this is the approach I've taken. I gave up a very high-paying job at Bain when I was convinced that they were hiding information that was relevant to our pursuit of justice. And so I think ordinary South Africans need to start saying we should do something for these whistleblowers. I understand individually they can't, but we've got powerful voice if we hold our politicians accountable, for example. We've got every business organization making statements about supporting whistleblowers. BUSA has come out every month making grand statements, but they've done absolutely nothing. We've got the president making statements, and he's done absolutely nothing. So my interpretation of that, Dan, is that our government is quite happy for whistleblowers to face risk and actually be harmed. And I think South Africans need to speak up against that, take action, use our voices.
You took the last question out of me by making that statement, that point there, the end there. Thank you very much, Athol Williams, author and founder of the Institute of Social and Corporate Ethics, whistleblower regarding that Bain matter of state capture. And then he lives now in the UK trying to be safe. And it's Whistleblower Appreciation Day this coming Saturday. Every day on today, I'm going to be speaking to a whistleblower as we honor them and see what we can do to support them.